Okay, so we're going to start sewing in the zip now. We've got an invisible zip here, which means that when it's zipped up now, you can't see the teeth, and so that happens when you've actually sewn it into the garment. You can't see the teeth either, hence an invisible zipper. So what I'm going to do here is start this little clear plastic bit here. I use that as a guide, and we have a 1 centimetre seam allowance here, so I'm going to give myself a couple of extra millimetres. So I'm going to start this point here is going to be 12 mil down from the top. Now you can measure that, but I'm just going to do it by eye. And now I've got the right hand, I call this the right hand zipper foot because it sits on the right side of the needle, and I'm going to use this just to tack the zip in place. And see, I can sew really close to the teeth. And just watch when you're down the bottom here, there's a pleat already happening there, so what you can do is just fold the fabric back so that this is sitting nice and flat there, and then we just have to stitch down to where you can see the thread from the seam here. Okay, so now we're going to do the zip up, and what's important here is that this bottom of the waistband matches up. It's actually more important that this matches up than the top here, because we can manipulate that, because we've actually got some seam allowance, and we can make the seam allowance bigger or smaller as we need if that's uneven at the top. But if this is uneven here, it's just uneven, and means that you have to undo it again.
Yeah, it looks really bad. You really notice it if it doesn't match.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to match those up, and because we've got quite close to the teeth, it's a pretty, it should work quite well. So now I'll just put that pin in there, and then just open it up and check. That's on the same level, which is great. Okay, and then here at the bottom, we just need to make sure that this is sitting nice and flat here. We do have a little bit of a buckle there. Because we caught a tiny little bit of the seam allowance. And I can undo that because that's only the stay stitch anyway. So this is sitting nice and flat here. Just put my pin in here. Okay, so now we're going to do a stay stitch up the other side. And just hold this, with a little bit of tautness there. And just watch. Oh, here we go. I'm going to get up a little bit closer, but I can't go much further because then I'll sew over the head of the pin. So what I'll do is I'll just do a little check. That looks like it's lining up. And then when you get to the top here, if you want to sew all the way to the top, lift the foot up and, actually we can't do that. Because we're quite close. That's all right. I'm just going to stop there. No, because this is too close to the zip pull. Okay, actually, let's turn it around at this point. Just check that. So that's even.
It's lined up pretty good.
Yeah.
So at this point, if it wasn't lining up, you'd need to unpick it. And sometimes I just tack over just that area on either side of the waistband and then check it before I do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be quite tricky to get that to line up.
Okay, now before we sew more of our zip here. Remove that pin from before. We actually need to take the zipper foot back, the zipper pull back down through this hole here, and it can be a little bit tricky, but just need to persevere a little bit. So you'll see that the just slips in there through that little hole, and you can see the zipper pull, and you can sort of bunch it up a tiny bit and then just give it a pull and it'll go down below.
Yep, so that has to be out of the way to be able to sew the invisible zip foot.
So now I'm changing my zipper foot for an invisible zipper foot. And what happens here is that there's two channels in the foot there, one on the right, one on the left. So if you've got the tape on the right, then you use the one on the left. So that just goes in there.
And the teeth just sit nicely into that channel on the tip.
And you can see it's sort of pushing them over, and so the actual row of stitching is sitting in here, so it's even closer than that first row that we have. So to try and make sure everything's sitting flat here and you don't have any tucks or anything down the bottom. And sew down. You can only sew so far, and where you really want to stop your stitching is where that the seam stitching stops. So on one side, and then on the other side, pop it into the other channel. Okay, now to zip our zip up, we need to have the zip pull going through the little hole there. Just hold on to the zip tape, hold on to the pull, and just pull that up slowly. And zip up, and we have a nice match there. It's about 1 millimeter out, but I think it's pretty good, yeah. Maybe if it was 2, we'd have a bit of a rethink, but what would probably happen if I unpick this to try and make it better, I would probably make it worse. So let's just leave it at that. And so you can see, you can't see the zip, invisible zip, and down the bottom there.
Yeah, that's good, no tucks.
No tucks or anything, it's nice and flat. Last thing we need to do is we'll just, and I wonder if we can do it with this foot. Maybe we can't. Oh yeah, this is right. No, that's all right. What we're going to do here is we're just going to stitch the zipper tape onto the seam allowance, and we're going to take that up quite close to that, where the stitching stopped. And it's just a little support. So what happens a lot with the invisible zippers is people pull on them, and they end up actually pulling this bottom section of the zip out through the hole when they're putting the garment on. So
and then you end up with a big hole at the bottom of the zip.
Exactly. So this just secures the zipper tape onto the seam allowance, so there's no chance that can actually pull out through the other side of the garment.
And you could, if you wanted, change back to your plain zipper foot to do that.
Yeah,
but it doesn't really matter. The idea is that you're just securing it and anchoring it at the bottom.
Exactly, and you're going to change your foot back now anyway, because we're finished with this, so you can do it with the regular foot.